Hi everyone, I'm Connie Roberts.
And I'm Jim Skakoza.
Welcome to another edition of Pocono Landscape Challenge.
On this project, we're going back to basics, and we're going to show you how we install a new porch with a walkway, do some planting, and install some lighting.
Jim, well, I see we have a beautiful plan here. I like all the colors.
Well, the colors are simply representations of the plants that are going to wind up in this project. So what we've done is develop a simple plan here for this home. And again, a great landscape plan doesn't necessarily have to be elaborate. In this case, what we're trying to do is bring new presentation to the home. It's an existing home, it's been there for about 10 or 11 years, and the homeowners are now prepared to go out front and try to get it cleaned up and present it a little bit differently to the neighborhood. So in this project, we're putting in a new walkway, we're replacing an existing porch, we're going to do some new foundation plantings, we're going to do a little bit of lighting, and then later in the season we're going to return and finish it with the new lawn out front. So you ready to get going?
I am. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, Connie, this is the project we're going to be working on.
Well, this is a basic walkway. Getting back to basics here.
It's not uncommon. You can see what they've done here. All these rocks and stones that are alongside the create a border here, all were collected here in the property.
That's a lot of work.
Well, it is a lot of work, and they were trying to remove some of the stones to prep for doing a lawn down the road, and also to just try to border out the walkway. So it served its purpose for a while, but now we're going to be coming in here, putting in a brand new paver walkway, putting in a brand new porch, and we're going to do some new plantings as well.
Nice.
So, but let's talk about this porch, because this is important. In this case, what we're going to do, you have some options. Sometimes, if this is in good shape, we can literally put either pavers or some sort of an overlay product on the concrete, glue it on, so that it matches the walkway. Okay, so here's a case in point. What they've done here, you can see there's a steel bracket here that literally is connected to the foundation, and then the back edge of this is sitting on that bracket. But in this case, all they did was put a little concrete block at the other end and set it down on there, and now what's happening is this whole porch is settled.
Right.
It's hanging down. So we really can't build over the top of this one successfully. So we're going to take this off. We're going to do that now.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what our precast unit looks like. See how it's all hollow on the inside?
Yes.
It's got metal rods inside, and again, it's hung. And you can see here, when you look back, it was just sitting on here. We used a few shims, and all on the front edge, it was just sitting on this concrete block.
Oh, wow.
So the whole thing just kind of settled down. And you can see the void space underneath here. We even have a little bit of a mouse nest in there too. So you never know what you're going to find underneath these.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to take the brackets off. We're going to excavate the area, and we're going to build our base material up with crushed stone and with geogrid fabric. We're also going to seal this foundation wall up before we build up against it with a, it's like a tarred roof product that we use, and we glue it right onto that face of the foundation. And then we're going to build a brand new porch in this space. It's going to look great.
I can't wait.
So Connie, see this here? This is called geogrid, all right?
Okay.
And this is all what's known as bi-directional, so it has strength in both directions. And the way we use this, if you look down in here, again, this area when we do our porch, we want to make sure this is solid and stable so we don't have any issues with this down the road settling,
Right.
okay? So what we've done is to tighten everything up, we've put in layers of geogrid, stone, separation fabric, and more stone. And basically what that does is it makes a complete envelope of material. So this entire section is one piece. And it's nice and stiff, nice and solid. So when we build our steps and our platform for our porch, we know that down the road this is not going to settle. It's going to be nice and stable.
Nice.
There you go, we got to put you to work.
It's all about that base.
So let me point out what we're doing here. So you can see after we've got this all settled and compacted and leveled to the proper grade, they used some bedding sand to set everything nice and level. They screeded it off. And we struck some chalk lines on here, which is going to guide them how to lay the blocks in here so everything's nice and square and plumb when they're all done. So we're going to lay this first course, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put some clean stone in the center, a piece of fabric, or geogrid rather, on top of that, and we're going to build up from there.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so this is the next stage, Connie. You can see what we laid is our first course of block, all right? Then we filled it with our clean stone. The beauty about this material is that when it comes out of the truck, it's basically at 95% compaction, so it doesn't really compact, which is good, which means it won't settle, right? Then we're gonna put our grid on top, and we're gonna start building our next course and locks in with this grid. So when we're done, between the foundation that we've built and the way we're bringing up our block with the grid and the stone, it's one entire unit. It's not separate pieces that can move and fluctuate with the ground movement.
And I see when they prep and they're prepared, this starts going real fast.
The key is in the foundation. You know, we like to say, you know, you can have a beautiful home, but if you don't have a beautiful foundation, you're going to have an issue. It's the same thing here. We work really hard to get the foundation solid, and then the construction goes relatively fast, and we know it's going to last.
The crew has 2 days in on this project, and the fun has just begun. Up next, work on the new Paver Walkway begins.
Do you realize air conditioning systems normally account for 60% of a home's utility bill? And without maintenance, it can cost twice that. That's why you should have a precision tune-up on your air conditioner. The company I use guarantees their tune-up. If my summer utilities aren't $100 less this year, they'll refund the tune-up costs. And since tune-ups prevent breakdowns, summer repairs are discounted 25%.
We are lending money at the First Northern Bank and Trust, and you can apply online or in person.
Check out our home equity line of credit.
We offer commercial mortgages, business loans, lines of credit, and term loans to fit your needs.
Or our Flex Term Home Equity Line of Credit.
We also offer home mortgage loans,
personal loans, and more. Local decision-making speeds the process.
Come in today to any of our 11 branches to talk to an experienced lender and find out how we can help you achieve your dreams. At First Northern Bank and Trust, your community, our commitment. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When putting in a new walkway, you have several options, and I often get asked the question, what is the best product to use? Here in the Poconos, because of our severe freeze-thaw cycle, we feel very comfortably that the best option is a paver walkway, and the reason being is there's give and take in that system. It's an entire system that will allow and absorb some of the movement of the ground. If you pour a concrete walkway, or you do a stamped concrete walkway, which is simply just a poured concrete walk with a nice finish on the surface, eventually, because of the ground movement, you're going to have something that cracks and fails, and then you have a major repair to fix it. Some people will put in an asphalt, extend the driveway with asphalt, and do it in blacktop. The problem with that, just like any blacktop driveway, it begins to fail over time because it's an inflexible system. So in our area, the pavers truly are the best way to go.
Geez, Jim, this walkway seems a little deep.
Well, it's actually deeper than we normally dig it, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Typically, you know, a lot of the manufacturers will talk about when you put in a paver walkway, 3 or 4 inches of crushed base stone underneath the pavers. Unfortunately, here in our area, because of our freeze-thaw cycles, that's just not adequate. So at minimum, we're putting in between 6 and 8 inches of crushed stone underneath our pavers, and that's what's going to give you the longevity of the project. Otherwise, you're going to get all this movement in the ground, it's going to upset the pavers, open up the joints, and cause some problems down the road. In this particular case, once we started our dig, we normally dig down about 9 to 10 inches. We wound up hitting some really soft ground. And that's a problem because we really can't have unstable ground even underneath the base material, despite how thick we're making that material. So what we've had to do is dig down a little bit further, get into more solid material. Then we come in here and we compact the sub base, and then we're going to start putting in our stone. So if you look here, you can see here we're 12 to 14 inches below grade, finished grade in terms of our dig. So this is several inches below where we would normally dig, but we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have an issue with this down the road. So on top of that, after this sub base gets compacted, we roll out some soil separation fabric, and then we're going to put in some clean stone to compact that even more, and then we'll put our base stone on top of that. So we're going to have a good solid footing for our pavers.
Sounds good. Well, Jim, the hard part's done. Now we're getting the paving in.
This is the fun part, right? So we talked about our base material. Okay, the next step after that is laying down our bedding sand. It's a particular grade of concrete sand, and we do a 1-inch bed of sand so that when the pavers get tamped in, they set right into the sand. We screed that off so we have a nice level base. Then we lay our pavers in there in the chosen pattern. Once the pavers are in, and this is very important, this is called a brick edge or edge restraint. And what this does, this goes up against the side of the pavers, okay, like that. It gets spiked in. And what that does is prevent the pavers from spreading. Because if without it, it's a critical element to the whole system. Without it, the pavers will in fact spread over time, which is not a good thing. And one of the other things I want to point out, you'll notice our base material extends much further than the actual walkway. That's also important because if you take this and you spike this down into just some topsoil, it's not going to stay there.
Right.
A lot of times you'll see this popping up out of the ground. People rip it out, they're tripping over it because the base material was not extended beyond the paver itself and it wasn't spiked in properly. Once this is in place and it gets covered over with either soil and grass or mulch from your beds, you won't even see that.
Jim, this actually looks like blacktop.
Well, of course, the base material we use, the stone here, is the major component in blacktop. But what we've done now, remember we talked about the depth of the dig earlier, and we saw we had some issues here with soft ground. So we've built up this base material with the components of the geogrid, the soil separation fabric, and the base stone. And now we've got a good solid foundation for that stone. So the next step is, of course, laying the paver.
Walkway's done, the pavers look great.
It is great. This is a nice random pattern. We got some large scale in the pattern itself, which is nice. It fits the whole property here. So remember, we did our whole base compaction. We talked about that. Then we put in a 1-inch layer of bedding sand, a specific sand to let the pavers set into the bedding sand. And then of course we finished it up with our edge restraint here, and that's going to keep the pavers from spreading. Very integral part of the process. And then in the joints now, we've installed our polymeric sand. And if you feel that sand, Connie, you can see it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so that has some polymers mixed with a graded sand. We put that in the joints, we compact it, sweep it, compact it, so it really compacts into the joint finely, and then we mist it with water and a proper application to get that sand to harden up. And then you're going to avoid the problems with weeds and ants and moss and stuff that typically grows in the joints.
The planting beds are the last to be done. We'll take a look at how to properly set a plant next. We are lending money at the First Northern Bank and Trust, and you can apply online or in person.
Check out our home equity line of credit.
We offer commercial mortgages, business loans, lines of credit, and term loans to fit your needs.
or our Flex Term Home Equity Line of Credit.
We also offer home mortgage loans.
Personal loans and more. Local decision making speeds the process.
Come in today to any of our 11 branches to talk to an experienced lender and find out how we can help you achieve your dreams. At First Northern Bank and Trust, your community, our commitment. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Pocono Landscape Challenge is now on Twitter. Follow us today to keep up to date on our projects. Get exclusive photos from our TV show, plus tips on how to keep your landscape looking good. Just go to twitter.com and search for @PLCTV13. We're tweeting every day with TV show pictures from behind the scenes. Well, it's time to do the planting, and you know, most people don't know really the proper way. Let's tell them how to properly plant some plants.
Well, it's a good idea, Connie, because like everything else that we do, there is a proper way to do it. So what we've done here, we have our planting beds laid out. We have our drawing that we presented to the client, which shows the walkway, shows all the plantings, and this is kind of like the finishing touch.
Yeah.
Okay, so the proper thing you need to do, now what we've done here is we've really excavated out this bed because the material that was here was really unsuitable for planting. So we've excavated out in the process of the rest of our work, and we filled this with good graded topsoil, okay, screened topsoil. So like anything else, these plants, we want them to thrive, so they need to have a good environment to thrive in.
Okay.
So we've got good soil to work with. Okay, we're going to simply dig a hole here. We have this one plant here, it's called a spirea.
Okay.
And this is where it's going on the plan. All right.
The spirea, they actually have pretty colored flowers.
Well, it's the nice thing about this particular variety, this is gold mound, and it has a nice yellowish golden color all season long. So it's a great way to get color in the landscape without having to have something worry about flowering. Because you know, anything that flowers really is going to only flower for a very short period of time, typically. Right. Okay, so this gives you a great idea of being able to get some color into the landscape as basically for the full season.
Right.
Okay. So there we go. So we've got our hole. We want to make sure, see the size of the ball that plant is in right there?
Uh-huh.
We want to make sure that our hole is at least 1.5 times the size of that. And I'll explain that in a moment. Okay. Just put this down. This plant was in a container.
Okay.
And you can see it was grown in a container. You can see all the fibrous roots here that we have.
Right.
We don't want to just take it out of the container and drop it in the hole. And you can see the hole is considerably larger than the pot was. So we want to kind of loosen this up a little bit. Actually, one of the things I like to do is slice this in quarters. Okay. And down the bottom of the hole, we're going to make a little bit of a mound. Okay. And basically what we've done here is we have 4 feet. See this?
Yep.
Okay. And we got a hole right here.
Right.
We're going to sit that right on top of the mound and put that in there like that. What's that going to do? It's going to anchor those roots into the ground really well. And we don't want to have the roots girdling, what they call girdling, where the roots grow around the bottom of the plant. It'll eventually choke off the plant. So we're going to just start backfilling. Now, in some cases, depending on what your soil's like and where you're planting it, you might want to add some amendments to the soil, like peat moss, maybe a little starter fertilizer, that kind of thing. We have a pretty good and rich topsoil here that we're working with, so we don't really need any of that.
Okay.
You're going to want to make sure we get that soil down in the root zone and try to push out any air pockets.
Okay.
That's important.
Jim, what's all this stuff on top of the plant?
It's a little grower's secret. This is weed hulls, and what they do is they put them in the containers when they're growing the pots, the plants in the nursery, and it helps to keep the weeds down in the containers. So Connie, we've completed all our planting now. Now we're going to finish up by putting in the mulch.
Okay, so I see you have rocks here though.
Well, it's a rock mulch, okay? This is river jacks or river gravel, it's sometimes called. It comes in various sizes. Most of the time we use a shredded hardwood bark as a mulch, as a finished product. I think with the shredded hardwood, it's very popular, it does a really good job holding the moisture, keeping the temperature down in the root zone in the hot summer. It's a great product. It does need to be replenished on a yearly basis, okay? The nice thing about the stone mulch is that you put it in once and you're basically done with it. So some people, it's a preference. Some people like it, some people don't. In this case, they prefer to use a stone mulch. This is a river gravel. As I said, it's kind of dirty right now. Once it gets rained on and we wash it off a bit, you'll see a lot more color in the mulch itself. You know, kind of sometimes we use both products. We'll use a stone mulch in combination with the shredded hardwood bark that we use. But of course, what's important is nobody really wants to weed beds anymore.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Okay, so we do put down a weed fabric first, which really eliminates probably 85% of the weeding that normally would have to be done in a bed. There are other methods to do it chemically in terms of putting down a weed barrier, but most of the time we're using the fabric. So here's something I want to point out to you too. This is a lawn edging that we use. It's a professional grade. It goes down in the ground about 6 inches, and it gets spiked in pretty heavily in order to keep it there. And what this does is it prevents the mulch from spilling out of the bed onto the lawn. This is going to be lawn eventually.
Okay.
And it prevents the lawn from growing into the bed, so you don't have to do all that hand weeding. And with a mower, you can literally run the wheel of the mower right over the top of this, so you don't even have to get out the old weed whacker, which is kind of nice. So it makes the maintenance a lot easier on the property. A lot of people don't like this. A lot of times you'll see this popping out of the ground. Usually it's an inferior grade of material to begin with, probably not installed properly. If it's installed properly, it'll last a lifetime here, and it does do the job in keeping it as maintenance-free as possible.
Still ahead, it's a final look at this project. Joining me now is Mike Katz, owner here at RJ Groner. And Mike, I understand that you're going to be going into your heating, plumbing, and cooling company because you want to see what's going on, but it's a covert operation here.
The idea is I'm going to come in disguise. I'm going to come in as a guy looking for a job.
Okay.
So I want to make sure my interview process is being conducted the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Also, I want to visit a job site, also in disguise, to make sure the guys out in the field are doing their job correctly.
All right, I'm going to let you get dressed, and good luck, Mike.
Thanks, George. Yeah, this should work. They'll never know who I am. I'm Barlow.
I'm John.
Hey, John.
Nice to meet you, Barlow.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Barlow.
I'll tell you, I've done plumbing, heating, air conditioning, carpentry, electrical. I've done sewer work. I've done everything you could think of.
Barlow, we do require that you have a valid Pennsylvania driver's license. We do send you for drug and alcohol testing, as well as a physical and a back evaluation.
We also require a criminal background check, Barlow. Is that something you're going to be able to pass?
We'll have to see how that works out.
How about we do a ride-along? I'll put you out with one of my crews for the day. Let's see if you really can do everything that you say you can do.
Thank you, John. Nancy, been a pleasure.
Did he really think we wouldn't know that that was Mike?
I have no idea what he was thinking.
I have no idea either, but Nancy, he signs our checks, so let's just go
right.
along with this. Tom, I know how much you hate when I do this to you, but I have a ride-along today that we're trying out for the first time. I want to bring him downstairs and introduce you to him. Are you okay with that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, John.
Hey, Barlow. Thanks for coming out today, man. I know we talked about it at the office about what's required for our customers and our safety gear, buddy, but I think you're overdoing it just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little. So.
Hey, John, I just want to follow the policy.
I bet you do, my friend. I bet you do. How about you shed some of that and come on over and I'll introduce you to Tom and Nick.
Barlow, I'm Tom.
Hey, Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. We can start by losing those glasses.
Oh, these?
Those glasses there.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. So what do you know about heating and plumbing?
I know everything, Tom.
You know everything?
Everything there is to know about heating, plumbing, air conditioning, anything you guys do, I know everything.
Okay, so you familiar with Navians, modulating systems?
What's a Navian? You mean like the Navy?
No, the Navian boiler system. High efficient modulating boiler. Does heating, hot water on demand.
Get out.
Yep.
That little thing?
This little thing here runs on natural or propane gas.
That's a boiler?
This is a boiler.
Come on, man.
We removed 2 conventional boilers.
Wow.
Replaced it with this guy here.
That's heating this whole house?
The whole house and the hot water.
And the hot water. You mean like at the kitchen sink?
The showers, kitchen sink, laundry.
Wow. When are you gonna solder these pipes, man? You got a lot of joints here. You gotta solder everything.
Well, this is the new age, ProPress fittings.
ProPress?
ProPress.
What's that?
O-rings inside the fittings that we actually press together with our ProPress gun.
Hey, Tom, these people really live like this?
Like what?
Like, I walked in the door, man, they got these canvas tarps all over the floor. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Oh, that's our canvas tarps.
What do you mean it's your canvas tarps?
Company policy, we protect the customer's floors.
Oh, man.
So hey Barlow, how about you go out to your car and you get your tools, we can see what you're made of. And while you're out there, can you bring me in a skyhook?
I'm gonna go get it right now for you.
Okay. Dude, you know that was Mike, the owner?
Really?
So, Mike, what did you learn?
Oh, man. They were following policy procedures. I was really happy with that. When we talked to the interview process with Nancy and John, and they asked all the right questions, everything that I want them to be doing in an interview to make sure that we're getting the right people.
Mm-hmm. And the guys that are working on site?
Policies of putting down tarps in that home to protect the hardwood floor that was in that home, to protect the furnishings and everything, you know, the homeowner's belongings. You know, that's a big thing with me.
So the customers can really be assured that your people are following procedure.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to find out.
Now, people want more information about RJ Groner Company. How do they find out?
They can go on our website, it's rjgroner.com, or they can call us at 570-421-7260.
Well, Jim, the project is finished.
Well, the first phase of the project is finished, Connie. So what we're going to do is later in the season, we're going to come back and we're going to install a brand new lawn for him and some other work on the perimeter of the property. But right now, let's go take a look at what we've completed.
Okay. Well, Jim, this is where we started the project at the porch, and I gotta say, this looks fantastic.
Looks good, doesn't it? And so remember, we had that old concrete prefab unit here. We took that away, built a good solid foundation for the porch. So you're going to wind up with something that not only has beauty, but great longevity because we built it solid as a single unit. So it does really justice to the entrance to this beautiful home, and it really fits the space perfectly, and the colors match really great too.
Yeah, I love it.
So it came out great. And then we also, of course, we talked about our pavers and how we install them and why we install them the way we do, again, for longevity. But there are things that I'd like to make sure people understand as well, is that, you know, there's anything that's outside needs some maintenance. These things, like anything else out here, are not maintenance free. There is no such thing. So they do require some care. You need to keep them clean. We do highly recommend sealing the pavers. The acid rain that we get here in this area really etches and kind of erodes the surface of the pavers very quickly unless they're protected. So our sister company, the Paver Savers, we clean and seal a lot of pavers, both new, and we also restore old pavers that way as well. But the idea with this is after this sets up for a little bit, we'll come in and we wash the surface to prep it with special cleaners, then we come in and put a sealer on here. So it really makes them look much better, will bring out the colors, and it protects the pavers for a long time as well. So it's something that you got to consider. It's not a once and done. Anything that's exposed to the elements out here is going to require some maintenance.
Jim, the boulders add a nice touch to the landscape.
Well, in this case, they really help to define the entry into the home, and of course they fit into the rest of the surrounding area as well. You know, we'd also love to do a project for you, whether it's large or small. Give us a call or visit us on the web at chnursery.com.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, right here. Oh my God, it's cold. It's supposed to be spring. It's supposed to be warm today. It's not, it's cold.
We see a lot of this, okay? Looks great.
Jim, it seems like this walkway is a little deep.
Well, it's a little, was that okay? I'm sorry. But right now, the first phase is, the first phase.
Does your entryway tell friends to go away?
You know,